Megavanan, and welcome my friends to Elven Awakenings, chatting with the Elven Scholar. And now, to your guide to all things Elvish, Dr. Earendil Spindelellis, the Elven Scholar.
Once upon a time in a forest rich in pine and oak lived a young elf. He lived amongst his neighbors who were clothed in fur and feather, and found joy and peace with each sunrise, and silence in the evening light of the stars. He spent his days communing with his woodland brothers and sisters, and the nights in contemplation and meditation. Light shone upon him unstained from the mortal world, and he was happy. But as time passed, he became more aware of the land outside, filled with fear and despair, and he knew his time of living in the gentle woods was coming to an end, and his journey as a teacher was upon him. When the morning sun found him again, he walked out of the forest with nothing but the clothes on his back and strode into the land of man, to teach and to be taught. For it is the way of all teachers, that the student so often will be the better master. My name is Earendil, and I am the Elven Scholar. Megavanan, my Elven, Fae, and other kin brothers and sisters, and welcome to a new episode of Elven Awakenings, chatting with the Elven Scholar on Heroes and Mortals Radio. Today we're going to delve into the loneliness of reawakening to our Elven or Fae or other kin spirit, to the reality of our inner nature. And who better to express this to us in song than America with their song, Lonely People.
This is for all the lonely people, thinking that life has passed them by. Don't give up until you drink from the silver cup and ride that highway in the sky. This is for all the single people, that love has left them dry. Don't give up until you drink from the silver cup. You never know until you try. Well, I'm on my way. Yes, I'm back to stay. Well, I'm on my way back home.
This is going to be a little bit about loving ourselves and what we call our family. The actual title of this one is When You Reawaken and No One is Home, or No One is Around. This was actually brought to my attention by another listener who was talking about the deep sense of sadness that she experienced after she had reawakened, after she began to realize who she was within herself. This is what happens when you reawaken to your elven souls and no one from your elven family is around you. And it's not only that, but when you find the ones you thought were family and friends, your current social circle, now alienate you, find that you're crazy, or simply cannot accept who you truly feel yourself to be. It was well stated by the Silver Elves. The essence of the elven soul contains a great desire to heal the earth, to heal ourselves, to heal our others, and to heal all that are around us. And the only thing that prevents us from doing so is the absolute determination by some folk who are not elven to do otherwise. It is a common attribute of those of us who are awakening to our true inner nature to feel a deep calling for those of like mind, of kindred souls. It's quite natural for us to seek out those with common ground, whatever has awakened within us. And I can say it has happened with me as well. Also stated by the Silver Elves, There is something in each elfin heart that will never be fulfilled until all of our peoples are united and happy. Elves are a very family-oriented folk. They include all their elf friends in their idea of what constitutes their family. So it does seem to happen sometimes that our definition of family changes when we begin to accept who we are. So I'm curious. Please think about it. You're welcome to call during when we turn the mics on and activate the phone lines here in about a half an hour. Please feel free to call in and answer this question if you would, or you can email and I'll be checking it throughout the show, or you can do it even after the show and I'd be happy to address it the next time around. How did you feel when you started to reawaken that elven spirit within you and you noticed that your elven family was nowhere around you? For example, those who have a similar calling. How did you feel? How did you deal with it? I'd be very interested in hearing that and maybe sharing it with others to help them through it as well. Or maybe you're still dealing with it and you'd like some help. I would be happy to talk to you. As far as these feelings, this often results in a deep-seated feeling of isolation and loneliness. And I can tell you that this is all too common. One more time by the Silver Elves. They go on, most elves feel empty and lost without each other. Even though elves say that they're loners, they're usually so because they have not found their own in the world and are surrounded by normal folk who insist that they stop being elven in order to be accepted. And that will not and cannot happen. We will not do this. We are ever seeking our own in our hearts and our minds and in the world around us. We're kind of like salmon, going upriver every year. It's this incredible instinctive drive to swim upstream, to find their original home, so to speak. And it's the same with us as well. I noticed it for myself, and I had heard this from so many others, that once we do reawaken, there becomes this incredible, overwhelming desire or urge to find our others, to find others who are like us, who have the same calling, and for many it can seem as if they don't find it, if they don't find who they're looking for, that it causes this great loneliness. One of the main symptoms that people have told me about is this loneliness is the overwhelming dark sadness that can also occur. It's the overwhelming urge or desire that we get is so often similar to what they would talk about, for example, with Legolas in the Lord of the Rings. Legolas, the green elf, they had warned him that if not to ever hear the ocean, because if he did, don't listen to it, or that urge to go west will never disappear from you, and you'll never be totally comfortable. And the forest again. It's a beautiful poem, of course, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. And I love this poem. It's about Legolas when he finally did hear the sea, and it reawakens something in him, and it goes like this. To the sea, the white gulls are crying. The wind is blowing, and the white foam is flying. West, west away, the round sun is falling. Gray ship, do you hear them calling? The voices of my people that have gone before me. I will leave the woods that bore me, for our days are ending and our years are falling. I will pass the wide waters, lonely sailing. Long are the waves on the last shore falling. Sweet are the voices in the lost isle calling, in Aresia, in Elven home, that no man can discover, where the leaves fall not, land of my people forever. A beautiful poem, and it says a lot about what goes on inside of our hearts when we haven't adjusted the fact that it may seem like we're alone, that there are no others within hundreds of miles who feel or believe the same that we do, and that urge, that calling to go home is so great within us. I know that call. I, myself, have sailed around oceans for many years, and I know what it's like to be out on the sea at night, and the dolphins surround your boat. And the stars in the sea look the same because it's so hard to tell when it's during the dark of night and you hear that calling to you to go home, to go to your people. Now, I understand that, and it can be very difficult for us to deal with. Okay, but what if I can tell you there's actual, in its own weird way, physical scientific proof that we are not alone, that we are not without our family, even if we feel that we are alone. We're not. So let's kind of wax a little scientific here for just a moment, I'm going to talk to you about something really interesting that Einstein once called the spooky action at a distance. And this is something called quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement. Yeah, that's part of quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and it sounds like it's really high education stuff and super in mathematics, but it's really a very simple concept, and it's being used quite a bit now to prove spiritual concepts as well. So here we are. We've awakened to our souls, our Elven, Fae, or other kin souls, or we're in the process of doing so. And we suddenly feel all alone because of those that the urge to find those of our own kind, or those that at least have common ground with us. And again, as I mentioned, I understand. I know that feeling very well. We are the lemurs being called to the ocean, so to speak. All right. Well, I've mentioned to you many, many times before on this radio show as well as on my YouTube channel. There's the Elven phrase, Alien the Quain, and it simply translates into all is one. And we are all one. And as I said before, where I begin and you end is just a blur, because we are actually the same one. And quantum entanglement actually is a scientific way of proving that. All right, what exactly is quantum entanglement? Well, I'm going to give the actual definition here in a moment, but then I'm going to go ahead and give you more of the spiritual definition. Because this is a wonderful time when science and spirituality are able to prove each other. When science can show us the proof that what spirituality has been telling us for thousands of years. All right, what is quantum entanglement? Well, an entangled system is defined to be one of those quantum states which cannot be factioned as a product of states of its own local constituents. Okay, I know that sounds complicated. That is to say, they are not individual particles, but are an inseparable whole. Meaning what they usually do with quantum entanglement is they find that these two particles, when they become in sync, even when they separate them by great distance, if they make a change to one, it affects the other. This is pretty interesting stuff, that they're finding that particles are not necessarily individual, just like you and I are really not individual. We are part of an inseparable whole. All right, it's like taking a drop of water out of the ocean and putting it back in. It's just the ocean. That's all it is. Okay, so in entanglement, one constituent, meaning one particle, cannot be fully described without considering the other. All right, again, sound very complicated, but what it comes out to is everything is one. That even though it may appear to be different or separate, it's not. So it goes on, it says, quantum entanglement is one of those uber bizarre phenomenon seen when things get itty-bitty or inside the quantum realm, meaning even smaller than atoms. So it goes, when two or more particles link up in a certain way, no matter how far apart they are in space, they could be thousands of light years apart, their states remain linked. That means that they share a common, unified quantum state. And so observations of one automatically shows you the observations of the other. So any action that is taken on one invariably impacts them all. And isn't that what we've been saying spiritually for literally thousands of years? That we are in this web of life. And when you touch one side of the web, it affects the other side. That we are all invariably intertwined and we are all one. So you're never truly alone. What's truly amazing about entanglement is that their communication is much faster than the speed of light. This is actually tested in labs. That, if you put a particle here and you put another one that's entangled 1,000 light years from here, well, it takes light 1,000 years to get over there. But if you're entangled and I affect one, then it affects the other. All right? Instantaneously. It goes faster than the speed of light. And it appears to be operating instantaneously at, the speed of thought. It's as if space-time in between the two objects being measured doesn't even exist. Okay, perhaps this is because the interacting objects are connected somewhere beyond the realm of form. And in other words, consciousness. The property of quantum entanglement is clear evidence in support of something called unified consciousness. We're all one. We are never truly alone. We are in touch with every other elven or fae or otherkin soul, not just here in the city or this state or this country or this world, but in the universe. We are always connected with every one of our family. And that goes on to the subject of, it started out as a subject of twin souls. That in theory, that there are two souls that are just two halves really of the same soul. Well, you can say that, especially if all are one, we're just aspects of each other. But I like to go even further with that and say not just twin souls, but soul family. We are all one family. What affects one affects the other. So you are never truly alone. We are all together, and when one thing affects you, it affects me, and it affects everyone else. Back to the twin soul concept. So it means that we are truly all one. There is no difference between us. As I stated before, where I begin and you end cannot be defined, as there is no boundary that can describe each of us separately. So you're not alone. I'm with you, others are with you, we're out there. And I know how much nicer it would be if we were all able to be in the same room and able to share this elven life together, that we were able to talk and see each other's face and things like that. And one day that will be. So consider the idea that twin souls or soul families are like two parcels created of at the same time, like twin particles. Or soul families, we were all one particle that split into multiple particles. And we're all linked together. And in essence, that's what we are. Every single living being, not just living, but everything that exists in the universe is part of the one mind. You could go and say then with quantum entanglement, you could say the one particle, the one mind. We are all just aspects of that. So what affects one on this side of the universe immediately affects someone on the other. We are all bound together. And this bond never breaks down because we are inherently the same being, just existing in different physical form and time and space, so to speak. The connection transcends time and space because in quantum reality, time and space don't really exist anyway. We're all just one. All right, well, that's all easy to say. It's easy to talk about the physics and say, well, okay, the spirituality was right, and we're all just one being, and so we're never truly alone. All right. But on a physical level, no matter what I say, you can still feel alone. So what can we do to cope with it? What can we do to go, okay, I've awakened, or at least I'm beginning to awaken to that true elven self. And yeah, all of a sudden I'm finding my family and my friends don't want to be around me anymore because they think I'm crazy or I'm just not behaving normally. What can I do? What can I do to deal with this aloneness? Is this really a good thing, waking up and then all of a sudden finding that I don't conform anymore? I know that's a huge thing within the society, is conformity. Conform, conform. Because then you won't be alone. Because then people will be around you because they'll want you to be around. But that's not really the case, because it's not you they want around. It's this puppet, this image of who they believe you are supposed to be. But it's not you. You're still alone because they're not looking at you. They're looking at a mirror of themselves. And you don't have to be a mirror to them. You can be who you truly are. So what can we do to cope with this on a physical level? Until you begin to realize the gift that this aloneness can do for you temporarily. Well, I'm going to say some of the most obvious things. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but hey, I get it, and it does have its benefits. There are now an amazing number of Facebook groups that are out there for Elven, Fae, Otherkin, Pagan. There's so many Facebook groups out there. Seek them out. That if you don't find any that you like, do like what I did. Make your own. Make your own for looking for those with common ground like what you have. You might be surprised that you'll think that you're all alone, that you're the only one out there who believes this. You might be surprised if you get out and look at some Facebook groups or start your own, how many people will come to you and go, I'm not alone. Thank goodness I found somebody else just like me. All right. A harder concept would be, and I know this gets difficult, especially in the era of all the fear and panic that's going on right now, but is make your own meetup group. There's not a lot of us out there when it comes to meetup groups, but they are out there here and there, little communities and meetup groups. And if you can't do it in person, well, one of the blessings is Zoom. Zoom is absolutely amazing, a great way to have online meetup groups. That would be absolutely amazing to do that. I've been a part of those before, and at least you do get to see their faces, and you get to hear their voices, and all this is in real time. This is not a perfect solution. It's not something like, having somebody here that I can hug and say, another elven kindred, all right, that I can touch. But it's a start. It's a start. And I'll talk about how we can actually bring those kind of people into our lives. All right, and here's one that's even harder than the other two. But I can tell you from my own experience that this does matter. When I told you about how I lived in the forest for a while, that was a time of not so much loneliness, but aloneness. There is actual difference. It is called finding peace with yourself. Learn to turn loneliness into aloneness. Being alone is very different from loneliness. Loneliness is where I crave another's, and I get it, absolutely, I felt it, but where you crave another's company because you've not learned to live with your own. And aloneness says, I have come to get to know myself better. I'm comfortable with who I am. I accept who I am. I love who I am. Yes, I'd love to be around kindred, because that is part of the elven psyche, is the overwhelming desire and urge to be with others who feel the same way we do. But with aloneness goes, all right, in its own time, it'll happen. But until that does happen, I'm okay. Because I get to explore who I am for a while, and I get to study more, finding comfort in solitude. Now, I'm not saying it's great to be alone your whole life. Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. But I've learned that, and I've heard this from so many others, that they go, I need to find someone else. I got to find others, and yet I can't. And see, there's the word. I can't find any others like me. Well, there's maybe a good reason for that. I've mentioned before on this show and the YouTube channel that we are going to keep experiencing the same challenge. I'm not going to say it's a problem or an obstacle per se, but a challenge, a lesson. We will keep experiencing that lesson or that challenge over and over again until we've learned what it was trying to teach us. I have been lonely. I spent a long time out in the forest. I traveled the world by myself. I went from country to country traveling. I sailed on the ocean by myself. I was lonely. But I eventually learned what that lesson was trying to teach me was before I can love someone else, and I know this is a cliche, but before I can truly learn to someone else, to love someone else, or to learn about them, I need to learn about myself. I need to love myself. I need to forgive myself to get over the past karma and guilts that are out there. I had someone tell me not too long ago that I told you about this in my previous radio show episode, that they couldn't learn to forgive themselves. Well, that makes for a very, very lonely person, because if you can't forgive yourself, then it's very doubtful that anybody else out there really is going to be able to. And so you end up being very alone and lonely. But when you learn to forgive yourself, when you learn that I'm okay, and what happened in the past, I can learn from it and go on. It doesn't have to define who I am. And all of a sudden, when you can truly do that, all of a sudden, you're not lonely and you're not alone. When you shine out that light from within you that is pure just love and acceptance, it's amazing how the universe will respond and will bring into your life those of kindred souls. Because if you try to get them into your life before you're ready and they're awakened, they're not going to be terribly attracted to you, because you still haven't worked it out yourself inside. Doesn't mean they don't want to be there and be mentors and help you. And that happens quite often. But when you learn to love yourself, it makes it very easy for someone else to love you too. All right? Learn that if you find you cannot get others into your life right now, then go, all right. I mean, if you want to, you can go, all right. Obviously, I've got something to learn from this, and I'm going to just let it happen and learn from it. I'm going to learn about who I am and get along with myself first and find comfort in solitude. Then I can find comfort with others. Another option, easy option, and we've had people do that, and I'm very honored that they do, but and again, I'm not trying to sell anything. This is a free offer here. At our Elven online college, Lambengolmor, we have community boards on there where anyone can come to and talk about how you feel, talk about your experiences to other like-minded elves and fae and otherkin. And you can join the school to sign up for free and have access to the community boards. You don't have to pay for classes to be part of Lambengolmor. You can just sign up for free, and you can be a part of the community boards and share in them. And signing up is free. You can find it at elvenscholar.org, and you can see about the school there and then go to the school and sign up for free. You don't ever have to take a class, but we would love to talk to you and hear from you and share with you and share your stories or your feelings. All right, so that's free to you. Another wonderful thing that you can do, and I've done this many times, is guided meditation. Oh my gosh, guided meditation actually does work, and it does give you a sense of connection again, because it's causing you to go down inside of yourself and reconnect with your elven soul. There we go, back to learning about getting to learn yourself, which then makes it easier for you to reach out and connect with others. And there are some wonderful guided meditations out there, very wonderful elven ones, okay, Lord of the Rings ones if you'd like. And one of my favorites, it's on YouTube. They're called The Honest Guys. They have wonderful guided meditations. You know, get in a comfortable position, lay down, sit up, whatever you'd like, close your eyes, put the headphones on. And The Honest Guys have a large number of wonderful guided meditations that are very soothing, the way they do it, some background music, and they tell a story and guide you through this adventure. And it's wonderful where it takes you and what it might teach you about yourself. So you have a choice. You can listen to those, and they will guide you through an elven forest, or they'll guide you into the Elven King's Hall. It's actually very beautiful, and I love to do it quite often, and it just helps you pause and reconnect with yourself. All right? So one more thing on that, and then if you'll go back to some of my previous videos on Elven Scholar on the YouTube channel, I talk about the levels of Elven manifestation. We've talked about that in one of the early episodes of this show. You want to manifest something, you can manifest anything. All right? Go watch my video if you'd like, or listen to the previous radio show on Elven manifestation. You can go check it out, and it tells you how you can manifest things in your life by either bringing them to you or bringing it out of yourself. And you can start manifesting and do something every day that'll help you reconnect with who you are and strengthen that connection with others. You can bring these others into your life by finding that within yourself. And always remember, though, remember you are what you attract. If you are dark inside, you will attract darkness. If you're light within, the light that you have will attract others. And the brighter your light, the more that will be attracted to you. And this will bring them into your life. You will bring other Elven family to you, so shine your light brightly so that others may find you. And then you can all find each other. Get to know yourself for a while. Meditate, reconnect with nature, surround yourself with beauty, joy, music, incense, read Elven fables and stories. In the end, you have to walk that path yourself at your own pace. You do not have to allow others to dictate to you who you are or what you are being limited to become. Nothing that they do can change that amazing gift that you are, so singular and rare. It may take you time to find others whose notes sing in harmony with yours. But it may be, again, for now, your lesson is to get to know yourself better. For how can we give our all to someone else if we do not know what that is? How can we truly love another if we don't know that love within ourselves? Maybe take some time and introduce yourself to yourself. Get to know that wonderful Elven child within you, and then go introduce yourself to the world. The world is truly waiting for you. I know I am. A wonderful quote from Carl Jung speaks so well to this issue. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. All right, we'll end this segment with letting Neil Diamond take it away with Solitary Man.
Belinda was mine till the time that I found her holding Jim, loving him. Then Sue came along, loved me strong, that's what I thought. Me and Sue, that I do. Don't know that I will, but until I can find me a girl that'll stay and won't play games behind me, and I'll be what I am, a solitary man, solitary man.
We're going to go ahead and take a short station break right now, and then when we get back, we'll be taking callers for our Chatting with the Elven Scholar. This is Elven Awakenings, Chatting with the Elven Scholar on Heroes and Mortals Radio. We'll be right back. When you go to college, you expect the high halls and libraries filled with old books. But much has changed, and in today's world, online schools have exploded in popularity. Please join us at Lambengolmor, the world's first online college with a nod towards Elven and humankind alike. With Lambengolmor, you can start a new career or a new life in the holistic health field. Learn a new Elven language, study history and culture or the environment. We believe everyone deserves an affordable education with personalized attention. We provide full certifications in the following fields: home herbalist, Reiki levels 1 through Reiki master, nutritionist, first aid, Elven history and culture, Elven languages, Quenya and Sindarin, anatomy, botany, introduction to archaeology, ecology, astronomy, and Elven laws of manifestation and meditation. We also offer full diplomas in the fields of medical herbalist and medical nutritionist. More classes are being added. Many students have already found new careers in these fields. You can pay for your classes outright or join a low-cost monthly subscription which allows you to take as many classes as you like at one time while you maintain the subscription. This college was founded to give you a chance to expand your horizons while believing in who you are. All classes are certified and are aimed at helping you start a new life and a new career. Adult study programs for both elves and humans alike, designed specifically for you. You can find us at www.elvenscholar.org. Discover what is inside of you. Be who you are at Lambengolmor, the Elven School of Lore Masters. Well, we're back. All right, so we've got open mic now. We're open to taking in calls and emails. So if you'd like to give us a call with a question or if you got a comment, please feel free. The U.S. number is 442-227-2187. That's 442-227-2187. Or you can email me at radio@elvenscholar.org. radio@elvenscholar.org. I will be checking it during the show. Also, if you decide that you want to call after hours, we do have an answering system set up so you can leave your question and comment. I'll be happy to address it at the next show as well as any emails that you send out. All right, I've got a lot of announcements to make, but I wanted to go ahead. I got an email just a few minutes ago from a dear Elven sister. She's in Europe, and I wanted to go ahead and read this to you because she emailed about what we were just talking about and how she dealt with this, the loneliness that she felt. She and I have talked about this quite a bit. I'm not going to give her name yet because she hasn't given me permission to, but I wanted to go ahead. She did send this along for the show. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you what she said, and maybe it will give some other of you some hope. So she goes, Megovanen, my dear Elven brother, I felt quite lonely when I reawakened. Let's see. I expressed my Elven soul through role-playing and fantasizing. All right? And until I finally found Elven groups on Facebook. After connecting to you and a wonderful Elven brother, I feel less lonely, but sometimes I still feel sad and lonely. Then I just meditate on elves and Valar, and they are really helping me. I don't roleplay anymore because I live my life like an elf, but I daydream often. Have a most blessed Elven day. I appreciate it, my dear Elven sister, and that's so much in line with what we were talking about earlier. You know, you can find like-minded souls on Facebook. You can have pen pals and Zoom with people. So I appreciate you sending that in. It's encouraging. It has worked. I've done similar. It's surprising what you can find out there in like-minded groups. So again, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. Okay, I wanted to go ahead and make some announcements. We've got quite a few to go through here real quick. These are exciting. First of all, a little virtual drum roll. I wanted to go ahead and announce the winners of the Elven Riddle Contest. We actually have 2 winners, so I wanted to go ahead and express my appreciation to all of you who participated in the contest. I'm going to review the riddles real quick so that you'll know which ones there were and how we did it. Okay, so the first riddle was, there is a house. One enters it blind and comes out seeing. What is it? Well, for those of you that didn't get it or see it on heroesandmortals.com, the answer was school. You enter blind, in other words, not with a whole lot of knowledge, and you come out seeing the world for more of what it is. Second riddle, kind of a cute one. A man shaves several times a day but still has a beard. How can that be? A man shaves several times a day but still has a beard. How can that be? All right, again, sometimes riddles are just incredibly obvious and we don't, sometimes we overthink them. A barber. It was a barber. All right, and the third and last riddle, I know that I was told that this was a bit trickier. All right, and this is one that famous, my wife and I, we actually came up with this one ourselves. All right. I have... Okay, nope, that was a different one I did. So, okay, I'll have to go back and pull that up, what we did, but the answer to it was water. Okay, so let me fumble through here and see if I can find that riddle again for you. And while I do that, the winners of the contest were Eruana, that's her Elven name, and her English name, I guess her Estonian name, is Tarja Pabo. She's the first place winner. She's out of Estonia. Congratulations, Tarja, for winning the contest. Very proud of you for that. And the second place winner is Marie Salinger out of the U.S. She won the second place in it. I will be contacting both of you over the prizes and how we will go ahead and get those to you. So again, congratulations to both of you over winning the contest. On that note, we are going to be going ahead and continuing with the whole contest kind of line of thinking. We talked about it a good bit to go, what kind of contest we could do that would be fun, but would also truly benefit everyone, help them grow. So what we'd like to do, I'm announcing it today, but it starts next Sunday and will continue every week for at least quite some time. So this will be a weekly contest. And so we're starting that here on Heroes and Mortals Radio, and it's called Word of the Hour. All right, Word of the Hour. So what that means is that there will be every single week at the beginning of the show, I'm going to go ahead and give you a word. So if you're listening at the beginning of the show, you'll be able to catch it. I'm going to be giving you a particular word, a word that I do not use very often during the shows. And then sometime during the hour, I'm going to go ahead and use a sentence with that word in it. The first person who calls in and says, I heard the word and it's such and such, what I was talking about, they win the contest for that week. And what we're giving away every single week is going to be a free month subscription to Free Month with Lambengolmor, the Elven School Lore Masters. You will get 1 month for free at the school, and you can study, you'll be able to actually study herbalism, nutrition, Reiki, human anatomy, first aid, and Elven manifestation and meditation. You can study as many of those as you want, as much as you want, and it is a free month subscription to the school. And if you win every week, you continue to get it, or maybe someone else will win it. So starting next Sunday, I will give you the word of the hour. I will tell you the word to listen for. When you hear it used during the show, the first caller in wins a free month with the Lambengolmor online school. This is an actual online certified school. The classes are certified. We've had many students go on and start new careers with this. So 1 month free with the school for every time that you win the contest. So again, next week, starting with the show, I'll let you know the word, and if the first person who calls in wins the month, free month with the school. All right, we're excited about that because we really want to encourage education for people to be able to learn to take care of themselves. So, okay, so I've announced the winners of the riddle contest. I announced the next contest coming up. Also wanted to, this is for a dear Elven friend of mine, Sean McKenzie. He, for the past 2 years, has had a wonderful Zoom book club. And for the past 2 years, they've done the Lord of the Rings. And they finally, as of yesterday, finally finished the books. And so starting on, let's see if I get this right here. Okay, so starting on January 8th, they will be January 8th, 2022, he will be starting the new book club, and that will begin to read The Silmarillion, a very big, intense book. I treasure it myself. And so what they plan on doing is just about every Saturday, but there'll be some Saturdays that they'll skip depending on personal things going on with the participants. It is a free book club, and basically every Saturday you'll be able to join a Zoom group, and we will be discussing the Silmarillion chapter by chapter. It may take a couple of years to get through it, but it's full of lively debate and conversation. It's not just sitting there reading the book. Everyone gets involved. They express their opinions about what they think that this passage meant or what this chapter was trying to tell. You learn a lot about the Silmarillion instead of having to just sit there and try to read through it. It can be a complex book if you're not used to it. So if you want to partake in that, again, it starts January 8th, 2022, and you can get hold of Sean in two ways. You can contact him by email at MackenzieSean7@gmail.com. I will spell it for you. That's McKenzieShaw7, McKenzieShawn 7, the number 7, at gmail.com. And just in case you don't get all that, because this is on the radio right now, when this gets posted live, it gets posted to YouTube later on today, I will put in the description his email and the website that you can go to. So either McKenzieShawn7@gmail.com, or you can go to the website, which is tolkiengrace.weebly.com. Tolkiengrace, TolkienGrace.weebly.com. And again, I'll have those posted on the YouTube reposting of this on Elven Scholar later on today. Like I said, I was a part of this book club. Absolutely loved it. It was a great thing, a great joy to look forward to, with lots of good debate with like-minded people who enjoy Tolkien's literature. All right, the one more announcement, and then I'm done with the announcements, and that is that we are starting this is a collaboration again between us and Heroes and Mortals Radio. We are starting a new show called Mythic Tales of Hope by the Elven Scholar. It will begin airing each Sunday, starting December 19th, and it will be filled with tales of elven fae and other kin lore, stories from a distant past, along with poetry by myself, the Elven Scholar, and also those donated from our listeners. So please, if you've written poetry of this type, elven fae, other kin, or something that you feel has some deep meaning for you, please feel free to donate it. I will be happy to read it on the show and give you credit for it. You can send all the donations for your poetry to radio@elvenscholar.org. All right, so we hope that you'll join us each Sunday starting December 19th by the Elven Fireside on Elven and Mortals Radio. Okay, so I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that every so often I will do this little section of the this part of the mic part of the show where I talk about, was Tolkien right? And proof that some of the things that Tolkien said do appear to be true. And it's like I said in the very beginning there, it's kind of interesting with writers who are science fiction or fantasy writers, again, like Jules Verne and so forth, that they actually were, I suspect without meaning to, they were actually quite prophetic. They wrote about things that eventually do come true. And however you want to interpret that and however you want to explain it, it is what it is. And so I wanted to go ahead and real quickly talk about that today. And that is on the subject of Doggerland. That's Doggerland. I imagine quite a few of you have heard of that before, but for those that haven't, Doggerland. All right, Doggerland appears to be, and even some of the scientists have speculated, maybe in joking about it, but speculated that appears to be where Middle-earth was originally designed. If you look at some of the maps that Tolkien did, that Tolkien designed of Middle-earth, okay, it was interesting, and you can see where Europe was in there, but again, most obviously think of it as fantasy. Well, we like to say, what if he was right? What if it was true? And keep in mind that Tolkien passed away in 1973. All right, he passed away in 1973. So I'm going to talk about something that was only discovered in December of 2013. All right, and according to one of the articles, it says, ancient underwater forest discovered off the Norfolk coast, off of England. And it says, nature experts have discovered a remarkable submerged forest thousands of years old under the sea close to the Norfolk coast. the trees were part of an area known as Doggerland, which formed part of a much bigger area before it was flooded by the North Sea. All right, it was once so vast that hunter-gatherers who lived in the vicinity could have walked to Germany across this landmass. So basically from England, they could have walked to Germany. There was no ocean there at the time. The underwater forest was discovered by Don Watson and Rob Spray from Sea Search on a diving trip to study marine life. The prehistoric forest lay undiscovered until it was exposed by extreme storms along the east coast of England in December 2013. All right, BBC Inside Out's David Whitsley reveals exclusive underwater footage of the submerged forest, which experts believe could date back more than 10,000 years ago. All right, and let me see if I can find a little passage. One of them was describing it and said, yes, that Rob Spray said that the ruined forest is an otherworldly realm, one that Watson's diving partner, Rob Spray, likened to J.R. Tolkien's fantastical Middle-earth. Now, that's all cool. I mean, that's great that they discovered that where Tolkien said that there should be a landmass, there was. But it actually goes a little bit further here. And again, everyone can interpret this as they like. I choose to look at it as a wonderful proof of the synchronicity, of the serendipity of life itself, that Tolkien talked about it, that all myths in some way or another are based on fact. And Tolkien was said to have gained a lot of his knowledge from ancient books that he found deep in the archives of Oxford and other ancient libraries. So who's to say? Who knows? Like I said, Tolkien said that one time when queried about it, said, "You didn't write this." And Tolkien said, "No, I guess I couldn't have. It just flowed through him and the characters went where they were supposed to go, and he felt like he really didn't have a whole lot to do with it." Well, on that note, the map, and many of us have seen this, the map that Tolkien did of Middle-earth shows this huge landmass, and you can tell, well, okay, that's where some other places used to be, France and so forth, and Germany, and you can tell where England was supposed to be, but of course there's this huge landmass where there isn't one today. Well, they did some studies of Doggerland. After they had discovered it, they started doing some underwater topography studies. They analyzed, well, what did this continent look like over 10,000 years ago? In other words, towards the end of the last ice age. Well, sure enough, they found out that, of course, during the ice age, a vast amount of the water in the ocean is pulled up into the ice, and so the sea level has dropped extensively. What is fascinating to me, and please research this on your own if you'd like to and take a look at it. Again, remember, this wasn't discovered until 2013, and Tolkien passed away in 1973. It was found that when they calculated for the drop in the ocean level and what land masses should have been above, it is really quite encouraging and shocking to see that the land mass that they come up with for what Doggerland should have looked like looks strikingly similar to what Tolkien drew for Middle-earth. Take that as you will. Think about it if you'd like, but I thought it was fascinating, possible evidence that Tolkien was a brilliant man, however you want to look at it, however he may have been inspired. All right. So again, thank you to our dear Elven sister for writing in and telling us about her story and how she dealt with the loneliness of reawakening and finding more of us out there. I appreciate that very much. Okay, we're going to get ready here in just a few and go on to our story time. One of my favorite poets is Rumi. I know that the more and more of you are hearing about him. He was a wonderful Sufi poet back in the 1200s, the 13th century. He was a Persian poet. And he wrote some beautiful, many beautiful poems and prose about life, about how our perspective of life and how we deal with life. And so I picked out a few that were apropos to what we've talked about today. And I hope it helps you because you can literally look up Rumi and how he dealt with loneliness. And here's a few of his passages before we go on to our story time. He said, the wound that you have, the wound is the place where life enters you. All right, so if your heart is wounded, if you're lonely, well, that's an open wound, and that's a place that life can get through. So just remember that the wound is also opening you up to life. And he said something similar to what I've said before. He said, you're not a drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in a drop. We are all one. Doesn't matter how you look at it. And then one more. It said, when will you begin that long journey into yourself? Take some time and get to know who you are. All right? You are a beautiful thing, and we all cherish who you are and what you can become. All right, we're going to take a little break here, and then when we get back, we are going to go ahead and we'll get into story time.
Deep in the forest is a place filled with artifacts of an age gone by, a time when elven and fairies and all those of other kin knew who they were and remembered our mythic past. It is our pleasure here at Elven Artifacts to present some of those memories. With the rising cost of so many things today, it is becoming harder to find those precious gifts that pass along an air of myth and magic to our homes and to our individual lifestyles. Within this store, you may find that one particular treasure that reminds you of your gentler past, something to help grace your home with our memories. It is our goal to keep everything priced in such a way that makes it available to as many of our gentler folk as we can. Through the magic of 3D printing, we are able to offer them at a greatly reduced price. We are including Elven, Fairy, D&D, and other kin products such as statues, wall plaques, bathrooms, kitchenwares, musical instruments, smartphone accessories, clothes, and so much more. In keeping with our Elven traditions, all items are made from eco-friendly biodegradable materials. The plastic is made from sugarcane and bamboo. You're also welcome to customize your own artifacts. One of the most important features of this store is the ability that allows you to customize an item. You can have your name written in your language or in Elven, and even customize the images placed on the items. Please let us know what you're interested in designing, and we will try and help you, again, at an affordable cost. So please feel free to look us up at elvenscholar.org/store, and we'll do our best to help you find those memories that remind us of our true inner nature. Namaste. Once again, it is my favorite time of the hour, and that is story time. So I'd like to go ahead and tell a couple of short tales. First one is a parable. It's an ancient parable about letting others, and especially yourself, valuing you by the trials that you've been through life. So many people end up what they think is being beat up by life, so that they're almost unrecognizable from their true self, from who they really are. And unfortunately, the rest of the world may view you that way. It's so often that the world will view you as you view yourself, and that you are priceless in and of you as you are, as your beautiful elven, fae, and otherkin spirit. And whether the world views you that way or not, it's how you view yourself. So the first is a little parable, very short one, about valuing who you are inside, not how you may feel that life has treated you and shown you on the outside. And the second is a beautiful ancient elven story about envy, about envy and of deceit and not treasuring the gifts that you have. And most of all, a lesson that I've been teaching for a very, very long time. Be careful what you wish for. So I hope you enjoy them. Here we go. Once upon a time, a well-respected mage spoke before the village of about 150 people, showing them a shiny new gold coin. He asked the crowd, "Who wants this gold coin?" All the hands shot up in the air. He said, "I'm going to give this gold coin to one of you. But first, let me do this." He closed the fist of the hand where the coin was placed, and fire and smoke burst forth, making the coin look old and black and worn. Then he asked again, "Who wants this gold coin now?" Again, the hands went up in the air, all of them. The wizard then dropped the coin on the ground and crushed it with a rock.
He then raised it into the air to show the crowd that the coin was bent and disfigured. He looked at the crowd in the village and asked again, who wants this old, worn-out gold coin? Still, the hands went up into the air, all of them. Finally, he threw the coin on the ground again and started grinding his foot back and forth on it. The more he ground his shoe into the coin, the more it became dirty and unrecognizable. If you had known better, you would have thought that the coin was just a filthy bit of metal with no use whatsoever, just a worthless object in this universe of ours. Who wants this coin now? And again, the hands went up into the air, all of them. You see, in life, in your life, life often seems to beat us up to the point where we feel inadequate and unrecognizable. We deal with bad circumstances and make bad choices that we have to deal with later. However, no matter what you go through, your value will remain the same you have always had, always been something special, always had something special to offer that no one can take away from you. And if everyone in the world had known you since you were a child, since your birth, they would have known how special you are, not what happened to you later in life. No matter how much you may have suffered and have been hurt, no matter how much failure you may have seemed to have endured, you are still the same unique, special gift in this universe, a special shining elven light. So you too, my friend, remember your worth. Remember who you really are, and never stop believing that your worth is as big as anyone else's in this world. Long, long ago, there lived in a land far away a poor cobbler who had a large hump on his back. One day he went to town to sell some boots. The way home was long and the poor man was tired. As he entered the forest, he was overtaken by the darkness. "There's no use in trying to go on," he said. "I would only run into the trees and hurt myself. There is a big hollow tree somewhere near here. I will creep into it and sleep there all night. In the morning, I'll hurry home." The cobbler soon found the tree, crept into the hollow, and fell fast asleep. About midnight, he was awakened by a noise. He peeped out of his hollow, and the moon was shining brightly, and to his great surprise, he saw many tall elves dancing in the moonlight. At first, the man was afraid and lay very still. But as he watched these folk, he saw that they all looked happy and kind. So he crawled out of his hollow and joined them. The elves were glad to see him, and soon he found himself having a jolly good time. He danced with the elves, told them stories, and sang to them. At last the king of the elves said, "It is nearly time for us to say goodbye. For you know, we must go as soon as we hear the first cock crow. Before we go, I would want to tell you how much we all like you. You are such a jolly good fellow that we would want you to come and visit us again." Quickly the elf king snatched the hump from the man's back, saying, "I will keep this to make sure that you will come back. Visit us again when the moon is full, and I'll give you back your beautiful hump." The elf king did this because he thought the hump was something to be proud of, and that the man would be sorry to lose it. Before the cobbler could answer, they heard the first cock crow, and at once the elves vanished. You may be sure the poor cobbler lost no time in hurrying home. How glad he was to be rid of his hump, and how tall and straight he walked. When the neighbors saw him coming, they rushed to meet him. He told them his wonderful story, and they were all glad for him. All but the tailor. This man envied his good luck. The very next time the moon was full, the envious man went to the hollow tree. As he crawled into it, he said to himself, "I'm going to sing and dance and tell stories to the elves. Then when I see that they are pleased, I shall ask them for gold, much gold." At midnight, when the moon was at its brightest, the elves appeared. Out from the hollow tree stepped the tailor. The elves made him welcome, for they thought he was their friend, the cobbler who had come back. The tailor danced with the elves, and he sang songs, and he told them stories, and they all had a jolly time. Just before the cock crows, the king called the tailor to him. "Now's my chance," thought the tailor. "You are a good fellow," said the Elf King, "and you have kept your promise to me, so I will keep mine to you. Here is your hump." So saying, he stuck the cobbler's hump on the tailor's back, and before the tailor could say a word, the cock crowed, and the elves were gone. And that is how the tailor was punished for envying his good neighbor. I have learned throughout my life that it is actually quite easy to have wishes granted. Especially when you learn the elven laws of manifestation, you can have anything you want. Maybe a lesson again from this story is, indeed, wishes can be granted. Be careful what you wish for. All right, it is time for final thoughts, and I've got a short little tale by Gautama Buddha, a fable where he had gathered a group of his students, and he was giving a lecture on the subject of pain and suffering. So often it is that people become so attached to their pain and suffering that it becomes part of their identity. I have seen this for decades with patients of mine, to where they become so attached to the pain and suffering or the illness that they have that it literally becomes part of their identity. And sometimes they just don't want to get over it because they wouldn't know who they were afterwards. I know that sounds strange to go that they would rather prefer the pain and suffering. But for some, I guess they figure negative attention is better than no attention, because that's how they get attention from their friends and family. I've seen that many times, especially you can find it a lot on Facebook, where people want the world knowing what they're going through. And sometimes they make it up as well. But all in all, so many people become attached to their pain and suffering, and they don't want to get over it. And so Gautama is talking to his students about how whatever it is that you are going through, it may be something that you have to learn, maybe something that, some challenge you are striving to get over, but it doesn't define you. It is not you. You are still that perfection that exists outside of that pain and suffering. You are that beautiful, pure, elven or fey or otherkin light that cannot be stained by what the outside world does. That you are still beautiful and pure and perfect. It's just something that you're going through, but it doesn't define you. So I hope you enjoy the tale. One day the Buddha was seated with his monks in the shade of many beautiful sala trees. He picked up a small piece of earth and held it between his thumb and forefinger, and asked his brethren, "If we compare this piece of earth with Gaiza, a mountain, which is larger?" "Of course Gaiza is much larger," they said. "It is like that, O brothers, for those who have arrived at understanding, thanks to their study and practice of the Dharma. Their suffering is almost nothing compared with the suffering of those who are submerged in ignorance. Ignorance magnifies suffering by millions of times. Brethren, suppose someone is struck by an arrow. He will feel the pain, but if a second arrow strikes him at the very same spot, the pain will be much more than just doubled. And if a third arrow strikes him at that same spot again, the pain will be 1,000 times more intense. Brethren, ignorance is the second and third arrow. It intensifies the pain. Thanks to understanding, a practitioner can prevent the pain in himself and others from being intensified. When an unpleasant feeling, physical or mental, arises in him, the wise man does not worry, complain, weep, pound his chest, pull his hair, or torture his body and mind and faint. He calmly observes his feeling and is aware that it is only a feeling. He knows that he is not the feeling, and he is not caught by the feeling. Therefore, the pain cannot bind him. When he has a painful physical feeling, he knows that there is a painful physical feeling, but it is not him. He does not lose his calmness, doesn't worry, doesn't fear, and doesn't complain. Thus, the feeling remains a painful physical feeling, and it is not able to grow and ravage his whole being. For you see, in your life, every day you are confronted with pain, be it emotional or physical, but
but to stand like a rock in the middle of the sea during a storm, not to weep, not to complain, but to stand there brave and bold. That is your true nature. Nothing will faze you anymore. They are just feelings passing through, emotions passing through, but they are not you. So stay calm, and that way you will always stay true to yourself. This is for those who have awakened and remembered who they are, be it Elven, Fae, otherkin. Do not be ashamed of who you are. Do not let others cast pain upon you for being who you are. You will experience this. You will experience people who will doubt you, who will call you crazy. But stand like a rock in the middle of the sea during a storm. The pain that they cause isn't you. It's just them. You are beyond that, and you can stay true to yourself. Okay, well, that wraps it up for today. I'd just like to, again, give a big congratulations to Taria and to Marie for winning the Elven Riddle Contest. Great job. I will be sending you out information on your prizes here in just a little bit. On the note of contest, we wanted to go ahead and make an exciting announcement today. Because I really enjoy teaching and I want to give people an opportunity to learn and to make it as inexpensive as possible, we are starting a new contest next Sunday. So I'm announcing it today, but it starts next Sunday, and it is going to be the Word of the Hour. Each episode, when we come on, we're going to go ahead and give you a word to listen for during the show. If you hear the word, all right, then go ahead and call in as soon as you can. The first person to call in wins a month free subscription to Lambengolmor, the Elven School of Lore Masters. This is an actual certified online school, and you will be enrolled for 1 month into the new bundle that we have of classes called the Fae Bundle. And within that, you will have the opportunity to study to become an herbalist, a nutritionist, Reiki Level 1, Elven First Aid, and Elven Manifestation and Meditation. These are actual certification classes. You don't have to have the word Elven on there if you're trying to use it to get a better job. We have had many students graduate from the online school going on to new and exciting careers. Again, this gives you, each time you win, it gives you a 1 month subscription to the school, and you can study any and all of those classes as much as you can within that month, and maybe you'll win the next month or someone else will. For those that don't win, should you decide you want to, the bundle is available for only $20 a month for this subset of classes. So starting next week, the word of the hour. I will give you a word. You listen for it. The first person to call in with the word, when they hear me say it during the show, will be the winner for that week. And the good news is we will be doing this call-in word of the hour every week. So there will be a new winner for a 1 month subscription to the school every week. All right, so you'll have a chance every week to win. And maybe you can win over and over again. Okay, so that's exciting. We look forward to seeing who wins and going out there and learn and start a new job, a new life. Also wanted to again announce that the subject for next week, being an elf or fae or otherkin, we, for many, dream of living a very, very long time, and it is definitely possible. But how do you want to live? How are you planning on living? What are you going to do with life? It's like I've said before in my YouTube channel, one of the greatest secrets of immortality is making sure that the life you're living is one worth living. Are you being of service to the world? Are you trying to heal all the damage that humans have done to this world over the millennium? So are you here to take up oxygen, or are you here to co-create with the universe, to add to the beauty of it, to heal? So
The theme for next week is choosing a long life as an elf or as Gollum. Do you live to co-create and heal, or do you live singularly just for yourself and contribute nothing to the world? So next week is about how you live as an elf, or you live as Gollum, and how you can do that. All right, so that'll be the subject for next week. Okay, so I think that will do it for today. I enjoyed very much, again, with the winners of the contest, and I look forward to future winners here. So, again, until next week, thank you for listening, my friends. And until we are together again next week, may you be blessed by the elves. My name is Dr. Arendio Spindalelis, and I am the Elven Scholar. Namarie. Megavanen, and welcome to our YouTube channel, The Gentle Musings of an Elven Scholar. My name is Dr. Arendio Spindalelis, and I am the Elven Scholar. Join me on this journey exploring all things Elven. Learn about Elven culture, healing, diet, meditation, and Elven spirituality. Come and take this adventure with me, and together we can find that inner light and balance that exists within each one of us. Namarie.